The sage emulates the natural philanthropy of the Tao, and all of his needs are fulfilled in the process. The ego is a demanding force that's never satisfied. It constantly requires that we seek more money, more power, more acquisitions, more glory, more prestige to provide the fuel that it thinks it must have. But living a Tao-centered life rather than an ego-centered one removes us from the rat race, as it offers inner peace and satisfying fulfillment. This is what I believe the wisdom of this verse of the Tao Te Ching is saying for the 21st century. First, make an attempt to reverse ego's hold on you by practicing the Tao's teaching to serve the needs of others, and all your own needs will be fulfilled. Generously thinking of and serving others will lead to matching your behaviors with the perpetual rhythm of the Tao. Then its power will flow freely, leading to a fulfilling life. Ego wants the opposite, however, as it tells you to think of yourself first and get yours before someone else beats you to it. The main problem with listening to ego is that you're always caught in the trap of striving and never arriving. Thus you can never feel complete. As you reach out in thoughts and behaviors, you activate loving energy, which is synonymous with giving. I see the sacred, invisible source of all in its eternal state of giving and asking nothing in return. I vow to be this too in my thoughts and in my behaviors. When you're tempted to focus on your personal successes and defeats, shift your attention in that very moment to a less fortunate individual. You'll feel connected to life as well as more satisfied than when you're dwelling on your own circumstances. Imagine what it would be like if you dismissed ego's hold on you, serving others, and watching how all that you give returns to you tenfold. The poet Hafiz expresses this attitude perfectly. Quote, "Everyone is God speaking. Why not be polite and listen to him?" Unquote. And secondly, stop the chase and be a witness. The more you pursue desires, the more they'll elude you. Try letting life come to you and begin to notice the clues that what you crave is on its way. You're in a constant state of receiving because of the ceaseless generosity of the eternal Tao. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, the sunshine that warms you, the nutrients that keep your body alive, and even the thoughts that fill your mind are all gifts from the eternal Tao. Stay appreciative of all that you receive, knowing that it flows from an all-providing source. Stop the chase and become a witness. Soothe your demanding habits by refusing to continue running after more. By letting go, you let God. And even more significantly, you become more like God and less like the ego, with its lifetime practice of edging God out, E-G-O. Extend your perspective beyond the sensory level. Your inner conviction knows that a rose is more than a flower, as it offers a pleasant fragrance and velvety petals. Use that knowing to perceive the creative invisible force that brings an intricate blooming miracle from nowhere to now here. Experience the essence of the Creator who allowed this blossoming masterpiece to emerge from a tiny seed. Note that the seed arrived from what we can only refer to as the world of formless nothingness or spirit. See that spirit animating the colors, the scents, and textures, and look at all of life from a transcendent perspective. You'll be less inclined to join the chase and more inclined to live from the inner conviction that your true essence is not of this world. Discontinue pressuring yourself to perpetually accumulate more. Let others be consumed with the chase if they choose to, while you learn to relax. Rather than focusing outward, turn inward. Cultivate awe and appreciation as inner touchstones rather than an outer determination for more adoration and accumulation. When you see a beautiful sight, or hear an enchanting sound, or taste a mouth-watering delicacy, allow yourself to think of the miracle within these sensory pleasures. Be like the master who prefers what is within to what is without. Allow things to come and go without any urgency to become attached to this ephemeral world of comings and goings. Do the Tao now. Be on the lookout for ego demands for an entire day. Decide to diffuse as many of them as you can comfortably, perhaps by assigning them an intensity grade. Living beyond ego situations that are easy to accomplish gets a low number, while those requests that are difficult to quell get a higher number. For example, let's say that your mate drives right on by, or you watch him or her take a different route than you ordinarily do. Silently witness the degree of discomfort with your decision not to say anything. Did ego let you know its preference? Or if you have a conversational opportunity to display your specialized knowledge or describe a situation where you were the recipient of honor or success, note how uncomfortable your decision to remain quiet felt. Again, did ego let you know its preference? As Lao Tzu says in this verse, quote, "Through selfless action, fulfillment is attained. By holding back ego's demands, even for a few moments, you'll feel more and more fulfilled," unquote. Just as the state of your life is a reflection of your state of mind, so too is the state of the world a reflection of our collective state of mind. Understanding this leads to knowing that we are capable of creating a world of real magic in the same way that I have been encouraging you to create real magic in your own individual life. The universe we live in works in exactly the same way as the universe that is within us. In order to create a world of real magic, it is necessary to know within that this is your job to accomplish. You cannot resign in anguish if others refuse to see the light. Know that you can radiate outwardly all of the messages in this tape and create the kind of real magical world that you envision. One of your biggest challenges may be in refusing to sit in judgment of those things which you perceive to be wrong or imperfect. The perceived inequities in the world are truly part of the perfection of the universe, but so is your desire to end them. If you stand way back in your mind, you will note that a revolution of spiritual dimensions is taking place right now. The Berlin Wall was built to last 1,000 years, yet today it is nothing more than a relic of an ancient non-spiritual past. That shrine of tyranny is but one of many that are toppling faster than we can update the history books. There is a new collective consciousness in the minds of people, and a new spiritual awareness is spreading throughout humanity. Nothing can stop it, for nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. Communism, which insists upon atheism from its subjects, has been declared an international failure. Rulers can remove the outer places of worship, but the inner place, that invisible corner of freedom that is ever present in each of us, cannot be legislated. In China, where more than 1 billion souls are temporarily residing, 1 million of those souls face tanks to demonstrate their desire for freedom. And while the messengers can temporarily be imprisoned, the message cannot be halted. These changes are all taking place in the minds of individuals and spreading to other individuals to form a collective consciousness. Once the ideas become present in a large enough number of us, they become our reality. This number is called a critical mass. The force cannot be stopped. Some will try, but they will be swept away by the power of an idea whose time has come. The changes in the world are not restricted to political realignments and new nuclear policies. A new spiritual consciousness toward our environment has manifested itself into action as well. The idea that we should treat the earth with sacred reverence is being translated into physical realities. You are seeing the fruits of these thoughts blooming everywhere. All of the changes that you see taking place around you, which reflect a growing concern for the individual, for a peaceful, safe, harmonious world, are part of a glorious revolution that is taking place first and most importantly in our thoughts. You are a part of that process. Whatever thoughts you have can and will be spread to those around you. You influence the physical world with your thoughts. Of that you should be most convinced, having listened to this tape. If this revolution, this new way of being, is to take hold and overcome all of the remaining non-spirituality that infects the world, it will have to reach a critical mass in all areas of our existence. The most important question to be asking yourself as you look to find your own place in this spiritual revolution is, how do I see the world I live in? If you want, you can deny the spiritual revolution I have described, and instead see a world that is slowly but surely deteriorating into a non-spiritual morass. That will be your experience of the world you live in. Yet those who see the light of the world view the dark spots as merely potential light. Where is your place in the spiritual revolution? You are here on purpose to help make these changes manifest more profoundly and permanently into the consciousness of all of mankind. Your place in this revolution will solidify if you fill yourself with love. You must be able to radiate outward all that you are gaining in your spiritual consciousness. You have the power to do just that if you make that choice. As you do this on your own personal and local level, you will find yourself expanding and reaching more and more people. That is precisely what has been happening with all of the spiritual revolution changes that you see around you. You are truly the world, and your thoughts do make all the difference in this world. Have reverence for your mind. Treat your invisible inner reality with sacred, blissful appreciation. In all that I have said about creating real magic, nothing is more important than your coming into contact with the higher part of yourself. At first, you will very likely reject this notion of yourself as a miracle worker in the worldwide realm of real magic. Increasingly, however, people are believing in their own divinity and trusting in the divine wisdom that created them. They are helping to create the spiritual revolution that is now occurring. You, one person with a vision, are like a pebble in a stream, moving ever outward to infinity, impacting on all who come into contact with that ripple, which creates the spiritual world I believe in so strongly. You make all the difference in the world. Your presence here is a divine necessity, perfect and purposeful. This is your miracle-making in action. By aligning yourself with your spiritual side first rather than secondarily, you will radiate out that peace that is within. You will not be dissuaded from your mission just because others are not with you. You will stay focused on what you are for in all areas of your life. The bad news, the emphasis in the media on tragedy and pessimism will not capture your attention. You will note these as areas for improvement, but your inner divine self will be noting also how many acts of healing, kindness, and friendliness outnumber those of suffering. It truly thrills me that I have been able to create this work on real magic from within my mind. It has been a magical journey for me. I shiver inside with the awareness that it can make a difference in your life and in the entire physical world we are all immersed in. My closing quotation is from the ancient writer Philo. Households, cities, countries, and nations have enjoyed great happiness when a single individual has taken heed of the good and beautiful. Such people do not only liberate themselves, they fill those they meet with a free mind. You are that single individual, becoming a spiritual being and taking heed of the good and the beautiful. You will indeed fill yourself and those around you with a new freedom in their minds, the freedom to create real magic. God bless you.
Line by Albert Einstein when he was talking to his students about trying to solve mathematical problems and equations. He said, you can't ever solve a problem with the same mind that created it. It's what they call sometimes in management circles thinking outside of the dots or outside of the box. Getting out of your comfort zone. Getting out of looking at things the way you've always looked at them. And having a different kind of an awareness. I came across this quote not too long ago. Moving away the clouds does not make the sunshine. It merely reveals what was hidden all along. The sunshine, the sun is always there. And you don't make it shine by just taking things away. There's something inside all of us that is hidden. And it's the ability to, I call it rewriting our agreement with reality. It requires a new kind of awareness, a willingness, if you will, to see yourself as potentially capable of virtually anything. I've always loved the observation from the New Testament of Jesus, that even the least among you can do all that I have done and even greater things. That within each and every one of us there is this ability to be healers. There's this ability to be able to manifest and attract anything into our lives that we put our attention on. There's this ability to live at such a high level of consciousness that we can transcend our bodies. My internal wiring has always been one of whatever it is that I've got in my life as a problem, that I have to take responsibility for it, but I also have the capacity to be able to change it. And not only to change around what it is that is not working for me, but also to change around what I have been attracting into my life. I think it begins with this this whole idea of being inspired. I've always liked that word, inspired, inspiration, because its origin is in spirit. And then the opposite word is being informed. And so when you're in form, in the physical world, when you're in form, you get information. You get lots of information. And this is what we call the information age. Right? So there's no shortage of information. They say that on a little chip the size of your thumbnail, we can put the names and addresses of everybody in the United States and Canada on a little chip the size of your thumbnail. That's really more information, I think, than we need. What we are doing is we are moving from the age of information to the age of inspiration, I believe. And as we move into the age of inspiration, where collectively mankind is beginning to have a collective capacity to be able to think thoughts which empower us rather than which weaken us, which, according to Hawkins' research, up until about 1985 or 1986, collectively, mankind's collective thoughts always produced that which weakens us. And now, in the last few years, we have moved above the level where man's collective consciousness is at least at a place where collectively we are empowering ourselves rather than using force. And as we move into the world of inspiration, we have to understand what that means. And Patanjali had a wonderful observation. I wrote about it in Wisdom of the Ages. He said, when you are inspired, that is, in spirit, and remember, it is in the world of spirit, it is in the world of thoughts where we change, where we go to the place where we create anything we want for ourselves in our lives. So that remembering here, the theme is that you can't solve any problem that you might have in your life with the same mind that created it. So you're moving into a place now called spirit. That which is seen hath not come from that which doth appear. We're moving into the world of the invisible now. When you are inspired, and think about the moments in your life when you've had the most inspiration, inspirado. You lose any touch of fatigue. I have gone and been inspired at moments in my life when I have written for almost 24 straight hours without stopping, without eating, without thinking about sleep. I just got into one of those modes, what we call a zone sometimes, where everything just flowed. When you are in that place, you transcend everything. And you don't worry about whether people are going to call you or not call you. You don't worry about your children. You don't worry about being sick. You don't think about the cold that you might have. You don't think about being tired and how much sleep you'll need. When you're inspired, you're in spirit. When you're in spirit, you're connected to your source. And now what you're doing is you're moving out of the mindset of inform or information, which is where all problems occur in the world of the physical, and you're shifting into the world of spirit. You begin to sense there's trouble ahead. And so you look at a group of people that are standing on a corner and you think that could be trouble. And your intuition says, run around them rather than next to them. And you run and you avoid that. And something tells you when you're walking out of a parking lot, there's some intuitive sense that says, I think I should have somebody accompany me when I'm doing this. And you listen to that intuition. Sometimes it isn't there and it's not necessary. When it's there, you pay attention. You begin, synchronicity isn't any more confusing than the thought that exists between a mother and her baby. It's not any more difficult to understand than the idea of a remote control in your television set. And when we then have these synchronistic events in which we access our intuition, and what I'm suggesting is that when you reach these higher frequencies, intuition, insight, creativity, all of these things become negotiable. You can access them. You have the knowing. Because when you form a picture in your head of what you would like to attract into your life, you can begin to attract abundance and virtually anything else that you put your attention on. It's a law of the universe. Get that picture. See yourself as if you already are what you'd like to become. And every great artist, every great thinker is able to do just that. They have been able to see themselves as completing something. Do you know how difficult it is for so many people who get into a doctoral program? I think the statistics are that out of every 10 people admitted into a PhD program, 1 completes it. 9 out of 10 never complete it because they can't picture themselves writing a dissertation. The reason that I knew when I entered a doctoral program and was told that 9 out of 10 don't complete it, I already saw myself as having my doctorate. And I just knew that that was something that I had to do. And I suggest that there are people right in here, there are physicians in here, who probably entered medical school. There's a lady right here in the front who entered medical school. How many women who enter medical school complete the entire process and become medical doctors and have a practice? It's getting higher, but the statistics are against you as you enter something like that. But if you see yourself as having a practice, you see yourself as a healer, you see yourself as someone who is capable of becoming a doctor, or anything else in your life, if you see it and get that picture, and I can't tell you, I try to teach this to my children, my daughter who wants to sing, I just said, sing. See yourself as a singer. Get that picture, and no matter what comes your way, don't ever let anybody ever tell you that it won't happen. You can let them tell you, and all you have to do is use that as a way to step into the gap, and then out of the gap, over here into the world of spirit, and bring that energy of knowing, that energy of insight, that energy of intuition. Are you listening, Jennifer? Because if you have that picture, there's nothing that can stop you. And you don't evaluate whether or not you are successful on the basis of whether people buy your CDs. That's the biggest mistake you could make. Or whether people read your books. Or whether people want to come and hear your lectures or buy your tapes. You don't do it that way. You evaluate whether or not you are a success by being one of those people who's on the road that's hardly ever crowded and enjoying everything that they do because they're seeing themselves as someone who couldn't be any place else. And you no longer find enlightenment through suffering. You no longer find enlightenment through having an awareness in the moment of what it is that you need to do to learn the lesson that's happening for you right now. You are now a person who's out in front of yourself, and you see it coming. And that makes you a master who lives coincidences, not in the sense of them being accidents, but having a perfect fit.